Another stop today. Can't go too far, I'll be standing on the road track. It's a little windy, so I hope my microphone doesn't pick it up, but this is a beautiful area. This is going to be the last stop I make today. Before I say anything at all, I just want to thank everybody that watches my videos. Thank you for the kind comments. Thank you for the emails. If for some reason I'm not getting a lot of comments after the videos, but I'm getting a lot of emails from people. People sending me stories, people sending me stories that they found on the internet. Had few experiences, personal experiences that have been sent to me as well. I just appreciate it greatly. It's hard getting a new channel off the ground. I'm not a social media type person. I don't have Facebook. I've not tried to promote it any place other than YouTube. That's why I've asked sometimes if you could please share it with your friends on your Facebook, through your social media. You know, when you share it, someone's going to watch it and they're going to need the message. They're going to get something out of the message. There's a lot of people hurting right now and they don't know which way to turn or where to go. And when you share this message, you don't know who it's going to be affecting. But I know one thing. It will help people, and that's all I'm here for. I'm not making any money with the number of subscribers I have. There's no ads being generated. I'm not doing it for the money. It costs me $30, $40 every time I go into the mountains, just in gas. So anyhow, no need to get into all that. This is another one of those stories that just is heartbreaking, but with a wonderful ending. Run over by a lawnmower. It was a typical afternoon in late September for David Castleberry. He needed to mow the lawn after work, so he sent 5-year-old Brett inside the house. David was mowing under the plastic playhouse with the lawn tractor as he usually did when he realized something was horribly wrong. I pushed the playhouse to the side where I hadn't mowed yet, David recalled, and the mower tried to die. And I knew that by me pushing it, that it shouldn't have bogged the mower down like that. I looked down and all I saw out from underneath the mower was SpongeBob Crocs. Brett's whole body was between the wheels and the deck. I jumped off the mower and I picked up the mower and I just flipped the mower off of him. I looked down and I could see that there was no skin between his wrist and his elbow on either arm. The skin was just wadded up on both sides, and I could see his left hand hanging. It was cut almost in half or more. I picked him up and I carried him across the yard, and there was a trail all the way. The sidewalk was soaked with blood. The steps, the porch. I got him to the house and I thought, I need some help. David called 911 on his cell phone and ran to his neighbors. Tim and Janice Helms came back to his home to help. When I was running across the driveway, he stood up on that porch and was hanging on to the top rail hollering, "Daddy, it hurts," David says. Tim and Janice came immediately, but they weren't prepared for what they saw. The first thing I saw was Brett's face, which was just covered with dirt and mud. So it just took a second to try to comprehend what's wrong with him, Janice says. And then when I looked down, that's when I saw his arms. It looked like nothing was left. It was horrendous, like what you would see in a horror movie. Brett's dad had second-degree burns from touching the muffler when lifting the mower off of Brett, but that wasn't what hurt him most. At one point he was, saying, "I killed my son," Janice recalls. And that's where I was saying, "No, he's alive, he's alive. Worst case scenario, David. If he loses his arms, you've still got your son." Tim remembers Brett's injuries as well. His wrist was turned around backwards like this, instead of like this, So it was just kind of flopping, says Tim. So I just covered him up and we laid him on the porch and tried to keep him calm the best I could, which he was. He was a trooper there. And as we were waiting for the ambulance, Brett just kept asking, "How's my dad? My dad's really hurt, He kept just trying to look at his dad, and he was more worried about his father. Meanwhile, Janice tried to keep David calm. David's next call was to his wife, Pam. He goes, "I just ran Brett over with the mower," Pam recalls. "You don't see people. You don't see anything. I mean, your whole world just stops." Well, on her way to the hospital, Pam sent out a call to prayer. I posted on Facebook, "Please pray for Brett. He's been in a horrible accident," says Pam. And so I got hundreds of responses back, and everybody posted it on their Facebook as well. "Please pray for Brett," and it just spread, literally, like wildfire. As they waited for the ambulance, Tim and Jana noticed something unusual. "We live on a dead-end road. No one comes down this road," Janice says. There's no one out here. So at the scene of the accident, I noticed that people were gathering across the street. There were quite a few, and I was thinking, where did they all come from? And as the ambulance finally got there and took Brett away, I remember looking back up and there were no more people out there," says Tim. Brett was rushed to St. Joseph's Hospital. The medical team stabilized him and took x-rays. I do know that he had 2 broken wrists. The first responder told us that, David recalls, but when he got to St. Joe and they did full body x-rays, there was no sign of broken wrists. Pam remembers seeing Brett at that time. The first thing I looked at Brett, he opened his eyes and he said, "My arms are broken." And I said, "Your arms are broken?" And he said, "Yeah, I seen the bones, they're broken. I'm going to get cactuses." And so the casts, that's what he called them, cactuses. Brett was transferred to Arkansas Children's Hospital for emergency surgery. Doctors requested permission to amputate Brett's arms up to the elbows. But when it was over, he told us then and there that he didn't have to amputate anything. He told us he really didn't know how he saved what he did, David says. And my response to that was that he was guided by nail-scarred hands. Because I don't think under normal circumstances they would have saved that much of someone that was cut that bad. Brett was taken to intensive care and struggled to recover from the trauma. All anyone could do was pray. He was shaken real bad, and they told us it was his nerves causing it. And they brought in a bigger bed and told me to lay down beside him, says David. We're laying there in bed and he says, "Daddy, get up." So I'm like, "Why?" And Brett said, "Because Jesus wants to lay down beside me." And it just brought like a huge peace that you knew that, okay, God don't send angels, he sent Jesus to protect him, said Pam. Brett stabilized, but doctors told the Castleberrys their son would need extensive surgeries and would be in the hospital for at least a month. He had over a dozen broken bones, a severed artery, an ulnar nerve, along with massive tissue loss. Dr. Teresa Wyrick recalls taking over Brett's case at that time. The thing that I think of that's the most significant was the damage that involved the muscles and tendons to his arms. He had muscles that bend the fingers, that extend the fingers, or straighten the fingers, that were completely cut off, and so much so that they were not actually repairable. And so my thought long-term for him was that I would have to take muscles or tendons from other parts of his body and move them into his arms to try to make things work. Pam posted regular updates on email and Facebook asking everyone for prayer. Brett's progress exceeded everyone's expectation, including his doctors. Pam remembers one instance in particular. During one of the surgeries, the doctor came out afterwards and she's like, "I don't know what y'all are doing, but keep it up because it's working." And to us, that meant keep up the praying because it's working. They told us that on Friday we went in on September 25th to plan on spending 30 days minimum, and 12 days later we rode him out to the car, says David. Over the next few months, Brett had more reconstructive surgeries and skin grafts. However, doctors weren't really sure if his arms would ever be able to function. I remember getting the cast off and looking down at his arms and saying, "Can you open your fingers?" Thinking he shouldn't be able to do that. And he did, says Dr. Wyrick. And then saying, "Okay, now bend your fingers," and him making nearly a full fist. And I remembered sort of shaking my head and blinking and saying, "Do it again, bend your fingers," thinking I know that the muscles were cut that should be able to do this. So how was he able to do it? Mechanically, it shouldn't have worked. The way your fingers bend is you have a muscle in your forearm and it's attached to a tendon, which sort of functions like a rope. And the rope is attached to the bone in the finger. And so the way it works is the muscle fires, and it's the motor. It sort of pulls on the rope, which is attached to the finger, which should bend the finger. So you can imagine if that muscle is not connected to the rope, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't be able to pull on it, but it did. It worked. I don't know how it worked, but it was. It was amazing. Based on my medical experience and knowing that Brett can do things that he shouldn't be able to do, I would consider that a miraculous recovery. David and Pam continue to marvel at how their son even survived the accident. They found chunks of his bone in the yard, says Pam, and so when they put those bones back together in his arms, they shouldn't have gone back together. But on the x-ray, there's no missing bones. They were basically a cream break that went back together. But yet there were chunks of bone in my yard, so where did they come from? They told us his fingers would never grow on the right hand because of the growth plates. Well, once I posted that out there on Facebook and people started praying, you know his finger, his index finger, had grown 1/4 of an inch. His ulnar nerve was severed in the arm, in the left arm. We went back for checkups and she started checking him and she started noticing that he had nerve sensation building in his arm. And so every time we go back, that's what we look forward to, is how much more nerve sensation he's gained. Brett was matter of fact about the recovery, even about getting skin grafts on his arms. Perhaps because God told him a few things. That he's going to put new skin over my arms, that he's going to protect me. He makes me feel like I have someone that's always there with me, says Brett. Brett taught us a lot about how to get over it, because he refused to cover them. He refused to hide them. He refused not to answer questions, says Pam. Brett's recovery included a confrontation with the mower as soon as he got home from the hospital. He had his mind made up that he was going to recover and he was going to do everything that he could do to make life as it was before the accident. Today, Brett is a normal, energetic boy, and his favorite thing to do is spend time with his dad. I play football with him. I like to ride my bike, build stuff, play with my tools, Brett says. I like to play baseball with him. I can catch a ball on the ground. I can try to catch one in the air. The Castleberries have learned a lot about God through their experience, but the main thing that they've learned is to trust that God will bring you through. God may not keep something from happening, but he can bring you through whatever happens, David says. It's really built faith, you know. The childlike faith. I see that now, Pam adds, because a lot of times I can go to Brett and say, Mom's having a hard day. And he'll say, well, you just need to pray about it, Mom, or you just need to do whatever. And you know, that's all you need is that childlike faith. Childlike faith. Wouldn't it be wonderful if each of us could remember that Brett doesn't have any doubt in God or what he can do? And could you imagine being Brett's father, and your son asking you to move off the couch because Jesus wants to lay down beside you? That's amazing. Well, that's another great story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not going to spend too much more time out here. I am going to do a shot for you though, to see the mountains, to get an idea what's around here. Thank you again for coming and seeing us today. May God continue to bless you and your families. And here, I'll give you a quick boo at what it looks like in this area. So right now, I am really close to Canmore, Alberta. And Canmore is a skiing area, a sightseeing area. Busy year round. It's never not busy here. You can hear the helicopter right now going out. There's a lot of tours that are done this time of year, actually all through the year. I was hoping a railroad train wouldn't come down the tracks while we're here, and we got lucky. So anyhow, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in again today. Take care. Bye now.